going out, in the front yard and hanging out with dad. Like, what happens after that? Welcome to the Big Dane podcast. I'm your host, Dana Trimborn, and in this podcast, find the connection in the weird experiences that we all share. Listen to new episodes on Tuesdays wherever you get your podcasts. Hey friends, in this week's episode, I'm chatting with Lydia Warnock, my boyfriend's cat, and we'll get into the weird things that she does in her daily routine. Now, since I'm fluent in cat meows, I'll be translating this episode for you all. Find out what Lydia likes to do when Matt, her dad, comes home from work. Welcome, Lydia! Thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from? Okay, so Lydia is saying she was born February 1st, 2014, which that's the same birthday as myself. Obviously not the year. So Lydia's mentioning that, she was born in Philadelphia, but she wasn't sure because she was very young and all she wanted was milk, and she doesn't know why, but it was just like this attraction. So she does remember when she was very, very young, she was separated from her family, and she wasn't sure what was going on because she was so little. And before she knew it, she had to learn how to hunt. So she found herself on the streets, navigating through Northeast Philadelphia with all the local alley cats. And she was telling me that some of them were pretty mean, so she didn't have many friends. Occasionally, she had a few run-ins with some dogs, and she couldn't really figure out what they were at first, but just knew that they looked like big cats to her. So, they would make these like sudden, like loud sounds, like whenever they saw her. And so, like anyone that's kind of like, annoying and loud. And, for a while, she didn't really have a place that she could call home. Like, some places were very cold, and then all the warm spots was where this bully cat would push the other smaller cats around like her, and then she wouldn't be able to hang out there. And then she was telling me that, in early 2015, she was kind of roaming the streets a little, around, and she had a pain that was developing in her ear, and she saw this human in some sort of uniform and decided to go up to him to get some scratches, just to get some distraction from her ear. And the human realized what was going on. She was having discomfort. And then before she knew it, she was picked up and put in a box. So she was terrified. She didn't know what was happening and meowed a lot because she didn't know what else to do. I mean, that's how you communicate with humans. You meow at them. So she, once she got to this place, she saw the letters outside, and it was PAWS, pause. So that's where Lydia stayed for a little while, with other cats and dogs there. One day she realized that this guy came in and he didn't look familiar to her. You know, it wasn't someone working there. And he came over to her cage and just like loved, petting Lydia. And, he was smiling at her and she was meowing at him a lot, in a good way. And she knew that, something was feeling good in this moment, right? And she was purring so much, like uncontrollably, because she didn't know what came over herself, because she just felt so much joy with this human that came over that wants to bring Lydia home. Yeah, so they just had this really good connection and their personalities meshed. And the clerk that works there was coming over and saying, "Hi, baby, are you ready to go to your new home?" And Lydia was telling me that her eyes were in disbelief. She really couldn't contain her meows. And so it was kind of in that moment when, he picked up the carrier and walked out with her, and she knew she was headed to a good place, a place that she could call home. So that is Lydia's story for you. It's such a wonderful story, Lydia. Oh my goodness. I mean, it makes me want to cry, but I'm so happy that you're safe and sound now. And let's get into your daily routine. And tell me about the kind of like the weird things that go on, Lydia, and like the unique things that you do. So, yeah, so she wakes up and she wakes up super early because she's starving and she's confused because she was saying that her dad always seems to be asleep. So it's like, well, why are you asleep? Like, it's time to feed me. Let's go. And what she likes to do is pounce on him in the morning so he knows, like, it's time to be fed. And sometimes she even bats his face to get his attention sooner. Yeah, like what cat doesn't do this, right? And she says that, she's so excited, but she has to be careful because there's another kitty in the house, Moo, and Moo likes to chase Lydia around. So Lydia is on high alert most of the time. And so then Dad, which is my boyfriend, Matt, so he starts to go downstairs with her, and then she was saying that she finally gets to eat then. And what she likes to do in the morning is she and Moo, the other kitty, my cat, they swap bowls so they can have a taste of each other's wet and dry food. Who knew this went on? And she mentions that, sometimes she just needs a little crunch from the dry, but like she also wants, the delicious pate. So, she meowed it over with Moo and they aligned. So everyone's happy in this house. And Lydia, here's a question that I have for you. How did you start doing this swap, if you will? Yeah, so she was saying that, it's interesting because she remembers one day where they had the same crunchy dry food, and then all of a sudden she remembers a blob looking food, which she then realized later was the pate that Moo had, but it changed since Moo kept getting sick in the morning, so it was kind of changed up with the dry, so that's how the dry came into play. So that is how it all happened. Okay. So Lydia, yeah, that totally makes sense. Gotta change it up if someone's if a kitty's stomach isn't feeling good, am I right? So you eat breakfast, and then what goes on after breakfast? Okay, so she's saying that after breakfast, her small little brain is telling her that it's time to go down in the basement to the litter box. So she like kind of carefully does this, yeah, so she can do her own thing, in privacy in the litter box. And she feels so much better after she does that. So she feels so good that she is just ready to go, ready to take on the day, and she jumps out of the litter box and dashes up the basement stairs. And she feels all this energy that she runs all the way upstairs, and her tail gets puffed. And she tells Dad that she just pooped. Wow. And so after that, she had mentioned to me that when Dad works at home, she really enjoys being right by his side. Like, I can, definitely attest to this because I see it at firsthand. She's always by his side, and it's just so cute. And she was mentioning to me when he's not at home that she likes to be near, are you ready for this? His dirty clothes that are on the floor. And yeah, so it's definitely obviously like the scent, right? And sometimes, she was saying that she'll meow at me, which is true. And what she'll do is just kind of leap up onto my lap when I'm working, and we hang out for a little bit, right? And keep her company. And Lydia, let me ask you, so what do you like about being near Dad all the time? So she's saying that she just loves his scent so much, like it gives her all this comfort, and she's just so attached to him, and she does like that, I work at home so she can be close to someone, because she does have all this, social energy that she likes to be around people. She doesn't want to be alone, and she was saying that how she loves when I leave the heating pad on the floor, and then she just sleeps on it, and I'll turn it on for her when it gets a little chilly. But the reason why it's there, because sometimes I get cold at my desk, or sometimes my back is hurting, so I'll put the heating pad on, Yeah, well, Lydia, that's wonderful. I'm so happy to be at home with you, Lydia. It's to keep you company and just give you the extra pets during the day. So enough about during the day. So why don't you tell me more about the evenings and what goes on? Yeah. All right, so what I'm hearing from this and what I'm interpreting is that she will hear the front door open, and she knows it's Dad because I'm still in the house. So who else could it be? So she likes to race down the steps, right, and see him and just get all these pets all at once. And she'll even just wait by the door, like after he comes in, and hoping that, she'll get to go outside, and not just like roaming, on her own, but she's saying, Dad will carry me outside in his arms, and because she's an indoor cat, right? And recently, what I'm hearing is that that Matt, her dad, recently got her a little cat backpack. So they're still testing it out. So until then, he just will carry her outside and just go, stay close to the house. But she just loves like the fresh air, she loves that. Okay, let's take a quick break. For a limited time only, you'll have free access to my coffee page. No, not actual coffee. This is a place for all exclusive content that won't be on my Instagram or Facebook accounts. Check out sneak peeks, behind the scenes, extra audio clips, and much more. Just have a tap on my link tree, look out for that coffee cup icon, and boom, you'll be on your way. Lydia, I bet you really miss being outside a little since that's how, you grew up and, for so long, and then to, be inside. And even what I believe at, one of your previous homes with dad, that you were able to go outside because there was a fenced in backyard. So totally makes sense how like you need that itch and you get this itch to go out and get all that fresh air, and just the environment, is obviously different than, being inside all day, and, sitting on the windowsill with the window open just doesn't do its justice, I bet. So totally makes sense. So tell me, yeah, what else, besides, going out, in the front yard and hanging out with dad, like what happens after that? Okay, so what she's telling me is that when dad is cooking, making dinner, and she'll like to just hang out with them downstairs so they have some quality time together. And she's mentioning to me like, I bet you're thinking I'm his little Pokemon. Well, yes, we know, Lydia. We got that. We can envision this, okay? All right, Pikachu. Yeah. And okay, and then after dinner, she is mentioning that she continues, to be around dad and hang out with him upstairs in his studio, and just loves listening to him making music. And she's saying that sometimes he'll close the door, but then she'll just meow outside the door, hoping that he'll hear her and let her in. Now, sometimes that is true. That happens. And other times, if I still hear her, then I'm able to go up and help her and get in the studio. And she just loves being in there. It's also very warm in there, so I think that's another reason. Yeah, she's saying that she likes to be in there. Makes sense. Wow, what a great routine, Lydia. This is just amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the episode and chatting with me and just getting to know you a bit better. And now the listeners just love your routine and can understand, what really goes on when cats are at home. Yeah. So where can the listeners find you if they want to get in touch with you? Okay, so she's telling me that head on over to at Sonic's Official, which is Dad's Instagram, and that is SAUNIKS Official. Okay, and sometimes, he'll like to post a lot of different little blurbs and things about Lydia. So I hope you found connection here with Lydia's routine, from getting up very early in the morning to get fed and, hanging out with Boo and swapping some breakfasts. I mean, what's a better way to just having all this variety at breakfast, right? Yeah. And if you could do it, why not? So thank you so much, and we'll catch everyone next week. See ya. All right, my friends, thanks for listening, and be sure to listen to new episodes on your preferred platform. Stay up to date with my podcast by going to my Instagram or Facebook accounts at the Big Dane Podcast. Interested in being a guest? Just go to my link tree, tap on Be a Guest, and fill out the form. All right, catch you next week.